Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome. This is Dr. Tom Schlueter with today's Tom's Take. It's always good to be with y'all. I don't know if this is a guy thing or not. Maybe it's just my thing, but I've always enjoyed going to movies where there is a demonstration of something going very, very fast, usually in a space movie, Star Trek or Star Wars. It's that whole concept of light speed, moving quicker than you'd ever think you could move before. Sometimes it's just natural life. I remember in my early ministry, we had a church out in Abilene, Texas, and we actually lived near the end of the runway of Dyess Air Force Base. And I can remember sitting out on our front porch in the evening, especially at nighttime, and the new B-1 bombers that had the swing back wings would take off from the runway and then push those wings back and go up into the sky with their burners burning behind them. It was a thrill to watch that. Versus a C5. If you're not aware of that thing, it looks like a monstrous whale. And I can remember the first time I saw it landing there at Dyess. We were watching it for I don't know how many miles coming in to the end of the runway. And I thought, this thing, it shouldn't even be able to fly. It's like a huge elephant with little teeny wings on it. But it did. Well, I preferred the B-1 bombers to the C-5s. I preferred watching Star Trek and Star Wars with the light speed. Because many times I'd come out of those movies and you'd get into the truck or your car and get behind the wheel and thinking, all right, let's go. Come on, let's push this thing into light speed and get out of here. I don't know. Maybe it's a guy thing. Maybe it's just my thing. Sometimes we just like moving faster, and life sometimes just does not allow us to do that. That's the natural, normal things of life as we're growing up. We're not like horses that immediately, as they give birth, they hop up on those legs, even wobbly, and they start moving around. We don't go that way. It takes us a long time to progress as we move from sitting and then kneeling, then crawling, and then eventually walking, and then running. It's a slower process. Many times that's what ministry is like with us. Maybe the promises of God, we wish they would speed up a little bit, move a little bit faster. We kid around when the Lord says, don't worry, I'm going to move on you now in this season. And I'm thinking, I'm not sure he fully understands what the word now means, or I'm going to move quickly to bring about salvation. And I'm thinking, Lord, my dictionary and your dictionary, I think, are different. Well, a lot of times we just have to wait for God to move through us and for us to progress in what the Lord is maturing us to be. We had that kind of interesting thing happen to us at our advance leadership of Texas Apostolic Prayer Network back in August. There were promises that were given for the state of Texas and for the Ecclesia of Texas back in December of 2003. It was part of the prophetic journeys that Chuck Pierce and Dutch Sheets were doing as they went to the 50 states and released prophetic declarations regarding the states. Well, at this advance back in August, we realized that we were coming up on the 21st year of those words being spoken, and that'll happen in December of this year. And then we realized the things that were promised and prophesied 21 years ago, we are beginning to see their fulfillment. I'm thinking, my goodness, it took 21 years of progressing through this, of faithfully following the promises, of decreeing what God wanted to establish, to be obedient to his call on that before we see it coming into fulfillment. Because see, that's usually how things work. They don't work at light speed. Even when we think of God moving suddenly, it's suddenly probably because it has been moving behind the scenes or growing beneath the surface of the soil or developing over a long period of time, and then all of a sudden, suddenly, it expresses itself. It comes to fruition. But I want to take you back to my birthday, February 15th of 2023. I'll be 73 this coming February. Most people don't believe that. But back on that birthday, the Lord spoke to me a very interesting word. There had been a desire to have our road outside our church redone. It really became bad to drive on. And the city finally announced that they were going to put a new road down. And on my birthday, the Lord spoke to me about it. It was my 71st birthday. And the Lord revealed two things to me on that day. First, a new road is being constructed by our church and our home because we live right next door. And the Lord declared to me that it's a new road for a new season. You can't drive on the old one anymore. I'm doing a new thing. And you'll be able to move quicker on this new road because it's not going to have all the dangerous potholes or whatever else on it. Powerful word. And then second, he had me turn to Psalm 71 based on my 71st birthday. And I realized there were tremendous joy and promises that were held within that psalm. Let me read it to you. This is from the Passion Translation. It's verses 14 through 21 of Psalm 71. And it decrees, no matter what, I'll trust you to help me. Nothing will stop me from praising you to magnify your glory. I couldn't begin to count the times you've been there for me. With the skill of a poet, I've never run out of things to say about how you faithfully kept me from danger. I will come forth in your mighty strength, O my Lord God. I'll tell everyone that you alone are the perfect one. From my childhood you've been my teacher, and I'm still telling everyone of your miracle wonders. God, now that I'm old and gray, don't walk away. Give me grace to demonstrate to the next generation all your mighty miracles and your excitement, to show them your magnificent power. For your glorious righteousness reaches up to the high heavens. No one could ever be compared to you. Who is your equal, O God, of marvels and wonders? Even though you've let us sink down with trials and troubles, I know you will revive us again, lifting us up from the dust of death. Give us even more greatness than before. Turn and comfort us once again. Wow, what a promise. It thrilled me to hear those words. What really thrilled me was that over the period of this last year and a half, even 2 years, even prior to that birthday, the Lord had been speaking to me words of saying, Tom, you may be getting older, but I'm going to cause things to move faster. I'm going to continue to move you into a new season on a new road, and it's going to overwhelm you many times. And I'm thinking, I think I'm at the age that I really kind of should be transitioning into a more relaxing season. I've never believed in retirement. As a minister of the gospel, we don't retire. It's a lifelong calling. But many times at our age, we're thinking, well, it's time to kind of slow down. It's time to do a little bit more of our hobbies, or just more sleeping or working out in the lawn more often. And I do that anyway. But then the Lord started speaking to me, and not just directly, but through some prophetic words by friends and even strangers saying, get ready. He's going to turn up the speed. He's going to bring about a faster and more stronger development of your ministry than you've ever seen before. And I'm thinking, well, let's see what happens. Because I've always responded to those words by simply saying, yes, I receive that, Lord. Do according to your will in my life. And all of a sudden, things are moving at light speed. They're not moving slow anymore. We are putting thousands of miles on our truck in just the last few weeks, not to mention the last couple of years. We're already nearing 100,000 miles on our truck, and it's not even 3 years old yet. And all of that is with ministry. as we travel not only across the state of Texas, but all across the nation. We just returned from a trip that we went up into the Midwest and went through 7 different states, laying down God's foundations for his kingdom. And that's continuing over the next several weeks. We're going to be down in Victoria, Texas, about 4 hours south of us right now this weekend. We come back. On Monday, we'll be 2 hours north up in Wichita Falls. Next weekend, we'll be out in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And immediately following the next week, we will be up in Minnesota. And in the meantime, we're going over to Louisiana. Not to mention the many ministry things that we will do again here within the state, or even in our ministry here at Prince of Peace House of Prayer in Arlington. Things have accelerated. It feels like they're going light speed. It feels like that feeling that I had there at the wheel after a Star Wars movie that, oh my goodness, this thing has sped up more than I can even imagine it would have. Now, I'm not sharing all the busyness of my schedule over the next several weeks and months, and it's picking up. I mean, the schedule goes way into 2025 already. I'm not saying all of that stuff to boast in it, to say, well, look how busy I am and how important I am. That's not my point here. My point is that God said, get ready. I'm accelerating things. You are moving into a new season when you, and not just me, but you, you're moving into a new season where those promises that God made maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or longer ago, or maybe even just last week, are going to be accelerating and moving into fulfillment quicker than you ever thought. It's time to move. It's time to move with the Lord. Things are speeding up. It doesn't mean that our progression is necessarily going to be mature quick overnight, but he is going to start moving us quicker. He's going to start opening doors faster. He's going to be moving us into a season that he has promised for many, many generations, as he opens the door to a great awakening, to a great display of his glory and his majesty, as his kingdom and will come to fruition on earth as it is in heaven. Light speed. It's not a dream anymore. It's a reality. And God is moving us quickly through this season. Fasten your seatbelts. Set your eyes on the King and say, let's go for it. Let's go for it, Lord. Let's move into what you have prepared for us, as we are a part of your plan for transforming, reviving, renewing, rebirthing, rebuilding, and awakening a state and a nation and a world to your glory. Come on, the ride's going to be fun. We will talk to you again on Monday morning.